The United States is set to possibly deal with one of the most important court cases of the year, or maybe even the last several years. What's happening now, on November 1st, it is Kyle Rittenhouse that will officially go on trial for the killings of two anti-fascist activists last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin. As you recall, he was the young man who went across state lines with an assault-style weapon to a known protest and then proceeded to kill two people. Now, what's significant about this is the fact that his lawyers have now officially given their defense. For the killings, it's self-defense. They came after him. It's their fault. As for why he was traveling with a gun, they say it's hunting season. That's why you would logically carry a gun into another state, because it's hunting season in the middle of a city where there's a protest happening. Now, in my opinion, if that's the best your lawyer can do, I would seriously consider getting a new lawyer. Obviously, what it is that Rittenhouse is doing is trying to say, well, look, there's a law that says that, you can carry a weapon around, so that's why I was doing it. I was doing it just because. And that was in absolutely no relation to the protest movement that I was going to. Essentially. So the thing is, nobody's really going to believe that. You see, the problem is that there was no hunting season going on at the time. And you can check records, and that's absolutely true. There was no hunting season taking place when he did that. Now, obviously, this is all of a justification for carrying around an assault-style weapon. I'm sorry, I have to use the correct media term for something that looks like an assault rifle, but, actually isn't. So, they're going to argue that Kyle Rittenhouse was just minding his own business, peacefully counter-protesting, and then was just randomly attacked by Antifa or Antifa-oriented people or Antifa-affiliated people, because you see the problem with something not being an official organization is that you can't actually determine who is and who is not a member. So he was just minding his own business, sitting there aiming guns at people, and just people decided to jump him out of absolutely nowhere. And that is the entire narrative that his lawyers would have us believe. But you see, the problem is that there's footage that kind of says the opposite. There actually is footage, and I believe my footage of it is, my copy of that footage is still up on the channel now, in which somebody threw an empty water bottle at him, so he shot them. And then people swarmed him to stop him from shooting anybody else, at which time he opened fire again and shot someone else. So it was self-defense while people were trying to stop you from shooting people. So you see the logic here. This is essentially, for all intents and purposes, the right-wing, seen by many in the right wing as a hero, and to others maybe just the right-wing version of didn't do, as I would particularly like to refer to him, because he didn't do nothing wrong, despite the fact that he, essentially, in my opinion, murdered two people. Two people are dead. He did shoot them. He doesn't deny that. I would call it murder. I'll have to wait and see what the court calls it. But you see the way that they're trying to set this all up. He comes in, shaking hands with the cops, being all buddy-buddy with the state body of armed men, and essentially proceeds to threaten people who are trying to speak out against an actual injustice going on in the country, the constant violence against African Americans by police, etc. goes out, shoots somebody in a situation where it was clearly unnecessary, and then proceeds to shoot the people who try to stop him from shooting people. So think of it like a mass shooting. Somebody goes out, starts shooting people, somebody jumps that guy, and then the mass shooter shoots that guy, and it's self-defense. Well, I mean, technically the guy was attacking me. I mean, it was good that you were being attacked because you were killing people. But you see what I mean. But that's not the narrative that the right-wing media would have you believe. Of course not. They want you to see him as just some innocent kid. My mommy drove me to a protest where I was showing my support for the police, and I got jumped by the evil Antifa, and I just happened to have an assault-style weapon because it was hunting season and I had to defend myself. Here's what worries me. This kind of looks like a George Zimmerman situation. You know, where George Zimmerman was kind of doing the attacking, and then Trayvon defended himself from that attacker, and then he killed Trayvon. That's what I'm worried about in a jury trial here. That's going to be the exact same thing all over again. Time will tell if this really is how the jury, if there even is a jury, I don't know if they've determined whether or not it's going to be a jury trial yet, is going to go. But I can see that kind of being a similar line of defense. Whether or not a jury falls for it or not is another question. But this is the defense that the defense attorneys have put forward to Kyle Rittenhouse. He was just minding his own business when he got jumped by the evil George Soros Antifa people. And he just defended himself and took no provocative act himself whatsoever. Now, of course, there are a multitude of other crimes like carrying a gun across state lines, and there's an argument that you have to be 18 years old to hunt in Wisconsin or to at least carry a gun in these types of situations. But there's an exception for people who are 17, which he was at the time, saying it had to be, there's complications over short barrels or shotguns or what defines something that you can carry underage when you go hunting in the middle of a city when you know there's a protest going on. So, I don't know. Maybe Kyle Rittenhouse was hunting. He was going out and hunting him some Antifa. I doubt that's the case. But I think it's pretty clear to me and to anybody who has a modicum of common sense that he went there to be an agitator. He went somewhere where he knew there was going to be a protest, you know, an upheaval, etc., something. And he went there armed. He wasn't in any danger. He was in another state. He chose to put himself into that situation and chose to shoot those two people. And those other people chose to try and stop him. But don't tell the right wing that. Because they tend to get pretty upset when you bring up the fact that he shot first and created the whole situation to begin with. Because that doesn't really go well for their narrative. Their narrative that he was a good boy who didn't do nothing. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.